The contemporary situation seems to me to be at least slightly curious. It is, for one thing, not obvious that professors actually have academic freedom in a legal sense. The AAUP declarations are no more than that. They are simply declarations. They are a statement of the AAUP's position on these matters, but they have no legal standing. And there is one court case, a ruling in Virginia in 2008, the case of Stronach, which has not yet been overturned, or not overturned at all, which holds that universities have freedom to regulate their own affairs with a wide latitude, but that does not carry over to any particular freedom for the faculty. And curiously enough, the AAUP itself makes concessions towards the peculiar position of some universities and colleges, because it acknowledges that, for example, religiously based colleges should have more latitude in dictating what people can and can't say within the classroom than non-confessional institutions. This is true in some European countries. I think most Britons find it a very odd situation that people can, in the 21st century, be dismissed for holding religiously unorthodox views, this having ceased to be the case in Britain in 1870. Nonetheless, nobody from the other side of the Atlantic should congratulate themselves too swiftly. 1988, Conservative government passed a piece of legislation which said it was an act for the preservation of academic freedom, but what it actually was an act to remove tenure from British academics and allow universities to dismiss faculty for redundancy, which until that time their contracts of employment would have prevented. After that time, anyone coming in could be dismissed for redundancy, but it was expressly written into law they could not be dismissed for holding unorthodox views either about politics or about their subject. On the whole, it seems to me that at present there's rather little threat to academic freedom in the traditional sense. Seems no risk of McCarthyism returning, and apart from one or two cases of people trying to get themselves sacked, very few signs of universities trying to enforce political orthodoxy on the faculty. Nonetheless, I think there is one sort of threat to freedom that is perhaps underestimated. I don't mean the kind that people like Professor Horowitz, who thinks the universities are full of left-wing, politically correct propagandists, are frightened of. I find it very hard to see much sign of left-wing professoriate at the moment. The greater worry, I think, is simply that of a tendency to groupthink. Not so much politically correct as, so to speak, discipline correct. To some extent, I think it's true that it's hard to imagine professional competence without some sort of convergence and some sort of agreement on what standards have to look like, what Thomas Kuhn talked about under the heading of normal science. But I think there is a danger that this goes further and that people confuse orthodoxy, respectability, and truth. If it stems from anything, it stems, I think, not from the fact that professors are politically timid, but from the fact that they fall for fashion. Most subjects, if you get to my age and you've been in the academy for 40 odd years, you've seen most subjects go through a large number of fashions. Most subjects are prone to fashions which come and go on a sort of 10-year cycle. While those cycles are going on, it's very hard for anybody to speak out against them. But although fashion is a less oppressive, less cruel master than political oppression, nonetheless, someone who finds themselves unemployed because they're unfashionable isn't a great deal better off than somebody who finds themselves unemployed because they're politically unpopular.